The consistent process you would have seen or practice in classrooms that you would have seen today was the notion of a warm-up, which is getting teachers to have kids automatise particular skills and concepts around literacy, getting them to drill and skill kids so that kids are able to automatically recognise sight words, phonics, blends, digraphs, etc. and making sure that kids have those skills so they can move on to the next aspect of reading, which is the phonological awareness, and then obviously vocab fluency, and then obviously building to the key notion of them being able to comprehend. In the junior primary class, you would have seen the focus on phonics, which is understanding the letter-sound relationship for kids, and also the focus on the first 100 words of the Oxford word list, which is also consistent across the school, that every teacher uses that as their resource for teaching sight words. You would have then seen a move into getting kids to automatise blends and then moving on to the phonological awareness aspect. In the 2-3 classroom, you would have seen the main focus on digraphs, blends, phonological awareness, and also the fluency and automaticity of sight words. In the 3-4-5, the focus is more on the grammatical aspects, the fluency and the automatising of sight words, as well as manipulating sounds. In the 6-7 class, so was focusing on the Oxford word list and also building on key vocabulary to allow the Year 6-7s to build on their ability to comprehend. We've put in place many different staff learning structures. One of them has been me actually leading the notion of observations in classroom, and I have run them every term, and giving teachers really explicit feedback on the expectations, what's being taught, the pedagogy that they're using, and also the assessment material they're using to plan their teaching and learning programs. It's been really important to have teachers deprivatise classrooms by going in and observing each other and giving each other feedback on the expectations. We had a huge push on classroom environments at the beginning of this term, and teachers went into each other's classroom with a checklist to check and monitor where they were in terms of those expectations. Also set up collaborative planning where the 6-7 and 3-4-5 teachers work together, and the reception 1-2-3 teachers work together to co-plan to make sure that the likes of the warm-up practices are actually building on key concepts and there is a seamless approach to education and literacy for them. We have had huge success in our reading data because that's our priority, so that's what we've been closely tracking and monitoring across the school. And along that is ensuring that we have a consistent assessment schedule across reception to Year 7 so we can monitor the effectiveness of that. So what we've seen is actually in the 6-7 class where we had 4 independent readers in a class of 24, we've now got all but 4 kids at independent level. So that's success alone, and it builds staff morale, and they can actually talk about, yeah, this is what we've done, and the consistency has been what makes a difference. We interviewed a child a couple of weeks ago about what was the difference for them, which was a child that had moved from running record level 5 to now 30, and she said sight words are everywhere, warm-ups are everywhere, so that's the part that's made the difference. 2 important aspects that we needed to work on at a whole school level as well was upping the percentage of kids attending school. We've had to have a whole school push on that, so we're monitoring and tracking that on a daily basis as well. And the What Works, being one of the first schools across the region having that established, was that we are now able to utilise our Aboriginal parents and work with them on strategies to also build consistency in what they're doing at home with their kids by providing them with a sight word literacy pack as well, and educating them on what can you do at home in terms of helping your child to read. So that's been a huge focus and a resource that's been fantastic to tap into. One of the things that we had to look at after getting what was happening in the mainstream class right was then looking at our next level of kids that weren't, we call wave 2 kids, that weren't quite where they needed to be. So we've trained, you would have seen in the reception 1 class, a teacher that was taking a group of kids to the side to build more frequency, intensity in her phonics work with those kids. The SSOs, we put through an 8-week training program around how to listen to kids read, unpacking skills around phonics and phonological awareness. So those kids that are still not at benchmark or at standards that we've set at our school go into that program in the afternoon to get more frequency and intensity of particular skills. They've been an absolute asset to the consistency of our school as well, because the little warm-ups that you saw in every class are also done during that intervention time. One of my aims when first appointed here as Principal at Lincoln Gardens was to gain consistency in the teaching and learning programs. One of the things we needed to do to address that consistency was develop a set of expectations and non-negotiables around teaching and learning, pedagogy assessment and curriculum delivery. One of the things that we first set up was having the literacy block put into every classroom from 9 o'clock until 10:40 every morning, Monday to Thursday, to ensure that teachers were addressing the literacy component during that time. The other thing we needed to do was target resources to make sure that it was going to be a successful implementation process. We made sure that the AET, ACEO, myself and the counsellor were all in teaching during that time to support the reading component of that literacy block.